what I learned, the hardest lesson as a real estate agent, you can go above and beyond. You can help people with absolutely everything in your power and even things outside of your power a little bit. But ultimately, if that person doesn't want to change their habits that put them there in the first place, they're just going to end up right back where they were. I think in real estate, you have to take the good and the crazy experiences together, and you just have to learn from it. I don't want to stop helping people, and I don't want to stop doing things that I think they need, you know, like going above and beyond. I would love to be known as the agent that does that for their clients.
Welcome to The Closing Table, the podcast where Utah's top real estate professionals share their stories, strategies, and behind-the-scenes hustle that leads to big wins in the market. I'm your host, Landon Franchow, with President and CEO at Miracle Movers and Storage, and today I'm sitting down with Kat Clark with eXp Realty, a standout agent who's making big moves in the industry. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Landon.
Well, let's jump right into it. I mean, how did your journey into real estate begin?
So my journey started right before COVID. So I was actually working as a part-time as an EMT, and I was trying to save up for paramedic school because I knew that was my real goal, was going to paramedic school. Ultimate goal, wanted to be a life flight paramedic. And so I was working part-time at Topgolf to save up money. I was working as a bay host, a server. Okay. And one of the girls got sick. I got cut early that morning, like right around lunchtime, and I needed to make money. I could not, that day I had to make a certain dollar amount. And so I was like, can't leave till I make it. And so one of the girls on the top floor got sick. So they said, hey, you can switch her out. And so I did all my stuff and went upstairs, switched her out. And there was a guy who was a broker with his own brokerage at the time. And he basically recruited me because I upsold him on everything on the menu while he was waiting for his client to show up.
There we go.
And so he was like, hey, have you ever thought about doing real estate? And it was just such a way left field, kind of question. And I was like, no, I have not. I was like, I'm in the medical field, I'd always been focused on healthcare. I was always like a science kid. So it just didn't make any sense. But then the more he started talking, I was like, and so at that point, I had decided if I do real estate, I'll do it for like 6 months, get some deals under my belt, make some quick money, pay for paramedic school, and then have living expenses so I don't have to work while I'm going to paramedic school. Okay. That was the goal. And then anyone who does real estate will tell you, you can never just have the idea that you're going to do real estate for 6 months and then get out. Like, it doesn't work that way.
Just kind of diddle down. Yeah.
Like you're doing summer sales, right? With Vivint or something.
Selling pest control in the summer.
Right. It doesn't, real estate does not work the same as that. And so
it'll get you.
Right. It will. It'll get you for sure. Because when you realize the amount of work it takes to study and to get your license, you are not willing to walk away after 6 months. I don't care who you are. And so I did it all during COVID, which was like really unique because everything was done completely online. There was no option for in-person. I'm basically teaching myself as I read stuff, right? And so I'm going on like Quizlet, and I actually called some agents who were like big agents in the industry at the time. And I called them up on the phone and said, hey, I'm a real estate student. I'm studying on my own. I don't have any guidance other than what they give me online. And I have some questions. And like, hey, I love that you're reaching out. That's really cool. Yeah. They're like, I haven't been to school in over 20 years, so I'll do what I can to help you, right? And so people were willing to talk to me. People were willing to answer my questions. And I got the same advice, no matter who I talked to, whether they've been in the industry 30 years, 10 years, 5 years. Everybody said the same thing. Study it. Learn it for the test, and then forget everything you studied because it's all going to change. Yeah. And I was like, that's terrible advice. But they weren't wrong. They were not wrong. I definitely studied things to pass, to get my license, and then you get into the industry and you're like, oh, I'm not ever going to use pretty much any of that because it doesn't apply the way it does in the book. Real world, everything's different. So, but that's how I got into real estate. I got recruited as a server at Topgolf, and it was originally going to be a way to make some quick money. And then after me studying on my own and taking my test, it took me 4 times before I passed the test. It's a really hard test.
Yeah, I've heard.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, I met an agent. I don't know if he's here anymore in Utah, but at the time, it took him 27 times to pass his test. He was determined to get that real estate license. Okay, It's just a hard test. Yeah. But it has to be hard for a reason, right? I mean, anything in life worth having, you got to really work for it, I think. So,
Absolutely. I mean, my wife Amanda has her property and casualties like insurance
oh,
licensing.
insurance is
So
brutal.
she's licensed for insurance, and that's not what she does at all.
Yeah.
But she keeps renewing it because she's like, I'm not going to let all of this go to waste. Like,
No, definitely not.
This was actually a couple weeks ago. She's like, I'm renewing my license, and like, I was like, really? She's like, yeah. She's like, I worked my butt off to like
She
pass
is
this
not
test.
lying.
So
my husband tried insurance for a minute, and I'm really good at helping. Like, I've tutored for a long time, and him studying for that test, I mean, it was a really freaking hard test. He was taking a life insurance test.
mhm.
And I think it was like 3 times before he passed. And then after, he was like, I don't want to do this. He's like, this is not what I want to do. There's too much stress involved.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't blame her. I mean, when you
Yeah.
work that hard to get something,
Yeah.
even if you're not sure if you're going to use it, keep it. You worked hard
Absolutely.
for it. It's yours. You earned it,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Kat, what makes your approach or style stand out? There's a lot of people leaving the game right now.
For sure.
So what makes your approach stand out? Keeps you going.
So I think the biggest thing here in Utah in real estate that I've noticed is agents think they're automatically each other's competition. And there is more than enough business to go around for every agent that wants to help people.
Yeah.
And I think that's why my approach is different. I mean, yes, of course, I'm in it to make money and support my family. But ultimately, I really want to help people. There are some people in some really hard situations out there that a knowledgeable real estate agent is the only way to get them out of it.
Yeah.
And so I am always talking to people in the industry. I'm always talking to lenders and people in title, and I'm always asking questions. I can't even remember how many legal teams at title companies and, mortgage brokers that I've talked to, and also, legal teams on the real estate side of things that I've talked to and just fielded a bunch of questions with them. And they're just like, we're happy to sit down and, answer any questions you have. They're like, not a lot of agents do that. So they're like, we're happy to, help you out kind of thing. Because
Yeah.
I feel like agents all think right now social media is the way to go to get clients. And I'm old school. I'm from the South. I'm a transplant to Utah. So in the South where I grew up, like, a lot of the most successful people in town that own those businesses had owned them for 50 plus years. My mom knew them when they opened their business, and now I know them in their business, or their kids are running their business. And it's because they were door knocking. They were talking to people face to face. They were having the conversations. They were building the relationships.
Absolutely.
And that was the thing that, I grew up seeing. And so I've always known, no matter what industry I'm in, relationships are key.
Yep.
To growing in any industry, but specifically in real estate, your relationships are 100% key to success.
Oh, for sure. There's, the age of AI coming and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But as it advances and it's used more and more, there's going to be there's going to be a craving for human connection.
For sure.
Luckily, we're in a business where AI can't move your furniture.
Right.
and we're a very personal, very personal service, right? And same with real estate. You know, nothing replaces, a handshake, face-to-face connection.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that as time goes on is going to become more and more valuable.
Right.
Human stories and real stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think that, some people are terrified of door knocking.
Yeah.
Right? Like actually knocking someone's door and being like, is this person going to yell at me?
Right.
Which they do sometimes, right? So I think
that's the worst thing they can do is yell at you. Yeah. Honestly.
They could,
No, I know. I did summer sales, so I do know the worst thing that can happen when you knock doors. But I also know, when you're door knocking, you're basically taking that barrier down. Because if I call someone and they don't know me, first of all, I kept my number from back home. And so I've had the same cell phone number since I was 17.
Yeah.
And so it's still a North Carolina number. And so when I call people and they don't know I'm going to be calling them, a lot of times they flag me as spam. They're just like, oh, out of state, spammer, whatever. Sure. And I get sent straight to voicemail. So for me personally, I was like, okay, if I go door knock, the worst they can do is shut the door in my face.
Yeah. And Yeah, and you've had face-to-face time with them and nobody else has.
Exactly.
Right? And so
Exactly.
one thing, actually, back to the cold calling, like
Yeah.
back to calling. I mean, my phone's been on silent for years now.
Yeah.
And so and you know the new iPhones, like the new iOS system has like the call filtering,
Yeah.
spam likely, like if you've never called this number before, it'll like
Right.
reject it. One thing I know is when cold calling or trying to get a hold of somebody that you don't normally get a hold of is you call, leave a voicemail, and then actually call back again.
Yeah.
Because more than likely either the phone rejected it or
Right.
they went no.
Right.
But if that call comes in again, they're like, this must be important.
Right.
So that's just one little trick that I heard that we actually do.
Oh, for sure.
Because that first call most likely is getting denied.
Right.
Like instantly. Because I mean I don't know if I was in a data leak or something, but I get 30 plus calls a day.
Oh, yeah.
So I've just grown accustomed to being like, I ain't answering this.
Oh, yeah. Well, and our information, it gets sold, especially when you're in, like, you have a professional license. So in real estate, the minute I got my real estate license, I got calls for, hey, we want to help you get your own medical insurance as a 1099 employee to, hey, I can help you lower your car insurance because all the driving you do with real estate. I mean, it's like they knew I did real estate.
Yep.
And I've never talked to these people. They're out of state numbers.
Yep.
And I'm just like, obviously my information has been sold somewhere. I'm on a list. So
You're on the list now.
I'm on the list for life.
Oh my gosh. Well, what's happening in the Utah market right now that buyers and sellers should pay attention to?
So, I mean, obviously right now it's the slow season for our market. So anytime the weather starts to get cold enough that we have to break out the jackets and sweaters and the boots and things like that, the market always slows down. That's just natural progression for Utah. Especially around holidays too, because people here, I mean, Utah is a very big family cultured state, right? Like we're big on family here, no matter what your background is, right? And so there's a lot of family events going on around holiday time. So people slow down. If your house is on market, you notice that the showings start slowing down. And it's like, yeah, the one thing that every agent does is say, okay, they go to their seller and say, hey, you got to like reduce your price. And it's like, yes and no. Sometimes it's even better not to just keep reducing, but have the honest conversation with your seller and say, hey, we're in the really slow season right now.
Yeah.
We're only getting 1 or 2 showings a week and still no offers.
Yeah, like you're probably not going to get that price now.
Right, but you can still, because it's still within the comps, right?
Yeah.
Because that's how we figure out how we're going to price their house. And so if your good agent has done their comps, they've done their homework, they know what the house really is worth, or if you even have an appraisal in hand, even better, right? And so
Perfect.
You have to have the conversation with your sellers and say, hey, I know that you're not in a rush. Like you said, we can sell anytime. Let's pull off market so that we don't just rack up the days on market, because every agent out there is looking at that going, oh, I can get a deal.
Yeah, let's relist in May.
Right.
Right. Let's wait till, I mean, our business, I mean, the whole economy evolves around what's going on with the housing market.
Oh, it does.
Like it's that big of a cornerstone of our economy that
absolutely,
when real estate's good, everybody else benefits. And so, what I've found, we go into a similar slowdown period as well. We got Thanksgiving, Christmas. People are broke
after
Christmas. Bought a bunch of Christmas gifts. They're like, we're not going to buy a house right now.
They're paying that off for a minute.
Tax returns come.
Yeah.
Then we start buying houses.
For sure.
Weather's good. And then all of a sudden the whole market shifts and we're slammed and every other business is slammed and people are spending money again. And
absolutely.
When during COVID, it was the gold rush for our industry.
Right.
And a lot of other people's industries too. We're like, oh my gosh, like what's going on? Like, and so when the housing market is healthy, we're happy.
Right.
We're very happy.
Absolutely.
Real quick, what's a wild and unforgettable story of your time in real estate?
Oh man. I've had a couple. And they were actually like right at the beginning of me coming into real estate. So my first so like I said, I got my license like right smack in the gold rush time.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, my broker didn't have time to train me because they wanted to go out and make their money, which Cool. I understand that, right? No hard feelings. But I didn't want to just sit with a license like for an unknown period of time, waiting for someone to come say, hey, let me train you now on how to do real estate, right? Because all I did was study to get the license. I had no idea how to do real estate. I had a background in sales, but that literally means nothing in real estate, just so you know.
It's totally different.
Some skills can be reused in some areas, but just saying like, oh, I was a top salesman in this industry, if it wasn't in real estate, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, they're totally different. And so I actually was really fortunate. My husband had a friend that is a big commercial broker, self-made man since the 80s. And so old school hustler, which is definitely my vibe.
Yeah.
And he took me under his wing and he taught me how to do commercial leases. So I sustained myself during COVID doing nanny and commercial leases. And so that's what I did with my license. And then after COVID, when everything died down and now everyone's got all the time in the world to train you, they did not want to train me on commercials. So they were like, you should probably get a foundation in residential because commercial is a whole other game. And I was like, fair enough. That's fine. I'm not going to push it. Right. I'm going to take their, suggestion based on their experience. And so when I came into residential, my very first client, was a disabled veteran, and I love the veterans. Both my grandpas were veterans. So I have a huge soft spot for the military. Yeah. And for our service members. And he was in a situation where he had filed bankruptcy. So he did tell me about the bankruptcy, which complicates things a little bit, but the house was not included in the bankruptcy. They had been able to save the house from the bankruptcy one of the times. But I did not find out till later that he had filed 4 times and had not gone through the discharge, but kept getting dismissed because he kept missing payments.
Oh my goodness.
So I signed the listing agreement with him and also the buyer broker, because the goal originally was sell the house, help you go buy another one. Yeah. But after title pulled their report, they were like, flag on the play, we have a problem. And they were like, there's 2 HUD loans. There's they're in they're headed towards foreclosure. They're 2 weeks out from foreclosure. And so I had to call the seller immediately and say, hey, I just got a report back from title and it says you are scheduled for auction. And he's like, oh, yeah, I think I got something in the mail about that, but I just figured we would sell before then. I was like, you think I'm going to go on market and sell in 2 weeks? Like, yeah. I believe in miracles, but
oh my God.
Jesus would have to be right beside
wishful
me
thinking
for that
there.
to happen.
Yeah.
Holding my hand the whole time, transforming his power into my hands. Like, short of that just is not going to happen.
Oh my goodness.
I don't care if you're the best agent on the planet. That is such a short window.
That's yeah.
Honey, who are we going to get to help us move?
I'll see if Brad can give us a hand. Hey, Brad. What you doing, buddy? Well, we're moving today, and I was wondering if you could help us out.
I'd rather wax the hair off my head. No. I'd rather go 10 rounds with Mike Tyson. Oh my gosh. I'd rather let my dog...
Friends don't want to help you move. Call Miracle Movers, and we'll take the pain and stress of moving off your hands.
So I had no experience with foreclosure. I had no experience with pre-foreclosure. I had no experience with bankruptcy. I mean, I was a brand new agent, just got my license, green. Yeah. And luckily at the time I had a solid, team around me. Like I had, my broker who was very, very, very experienced. And I had my mentor, my coach on my team, and they were very experienced. And so between the 2 of them, I got a very quick education on what you have to do. And so, we called the bank. We were able to say, hey, we're on market. We were just hoping for a 30-day extension. And they gave us only 30 days because of how
That's good.
long he had been in trouble with the bank.
Yeah.
And so they were like, this is his absolute last chance before we take the house and we auction it off. Yeah. And so they're like, this is your one chance. So, I mean, no pressure, right? New agent, no experience in real estate.
Clock tickets.
They're going to be homeless, no pressure,
Yeah. Oh,
You're about to make a veteran homeless, no pressure. So, I did what I would think any agent would do, but then I later found out a lot of agents would not probably do this. I cleaned his house myself the best I could because it was very neglected. Yeah. Like I said, he was disabled, so cleaning was really, really hard. The house was in complete disrepair. I mean, ultimately it had to be gutted down to the studs is what I found out after we sold. And we brought a dumpster in, we brought in a moving pod for them to keep what they wanted to keep. But we had a big commercial sized dumpster and it just filled to the absolute brim.
Yeah.
The company called me and said, you were quite a few pounds over. And so they were like, but because you were helping a veteran, we are not going to charge you the overage fee for going over. So that was really nice of them. That was probably the biggest break I caught in that deal.
Yeah.
But we had open house 2 weekends in a row, finally went under contract. And then the HUD loans started communicating and they said, hey, like, once he pays the bank, he's going to have to pay us back immediately. Even though we found out that he did not actually get those HUD loans, his ex-wife had done it under his name and had brought someone in and forged his signature. They didn't even forge his signature correctly. Actually, they signed his name completely wrong. It wasn't even close to matching his driver's license.
Oh my god!
They signed the wrong name, so he has like 4 names, and they signed the wrong name first, and they put like the second name third, and like flipped the order of all the names except the last name. And so we knew it was fraud, but with HUD, you still have to pay them, and then you have to fight them to get the money back after the fact. So it was just such a storm. Like, we just kept finding more things coming up.
I want to give this guy a hug.
I know. Well, I mean, so like we finally, closed, he left with money in his pocket. We found him a rental and, everything was supposed to be better from there. And then what I learned, the hardest lesson as a real estate agent, you can go above and beyond. You can help people with absolutely everything in your power and even things outside of your power a little bit. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, if that person doesn't want to change their habits that put them there in the first place, they're just going to end up right back where they were.
Sure.
But this time on the rental side. And so I got a call from the landlord saying, hey, I had to kick them out. They were not good tenants and I'm really sorry. And it kind of soured a relationship that I had put on the line. I put my reputation with that person on the line, and unfortunately that person didn't want anything to do with me after that because I had recommended not a great tenant to them, so but I think in real estate you have to take the good and the crazy experiences together, and you just have to learn from it. And it doesn't make me because some people are like, oh, I would never do that ever again for another client, and I'm like, no, I don't want to stop helping people, and I don't want to stop doing things that I think they need, like going above and beyond. I would love to be known as the agent that does that for their clients, right?
Absolutely.
And so I just think that it's a learning lesson, right? You help people as much as you can, but ultimately it's up to them to make those changes. I can't hold his hand through a bankruptcy or anything like that,
Yeah. I mean, something I learned a few years ago, somebody I looked up to told me, not everybody is your customer.
I like that.
In the beginning, I was like,
that's a good statement.
I was like, we'll do this job.
Oh yeah.
We'll do anything. Right.
Yeah.
And over the years, I mean, it's not like we deny people on a regular basis, but like there's some things that happen where like, I think we're going to have to be a little selective with this one.
Yeah.
Where somebody's like, somebody calls and they say, oh, I'm getting evicted. Do you do junk removal? I have to be out tomorrow. Like stuff like little red flags that pop up. I'm like, but obviously we want to help everybody. But when you service, when you find out whoever your customer avatar is, who do you want to service? And when you put the focus on serving that type of customer, they offer referrals of people that are just like that customer. Yeah. And so it takes years and years, but with being a little more selective, you learn. Then like years later, we found that most of our customers fit that customer avatar of who we want to service. But like I said, I mean, we want to help everybody out. And this is moving. This is real estate. People are either they're moving because of good circumstances, really bad circumstances. Yeah. It's the unofficial slogan of when life kicks you in the teeth, miracle movers will be here for you.
Right. Exactly.
Because I mean, there's a lot of divorces and a lot of other stuff. You know, people are, so things happen.
Right. And because of that big gold rush during COVID, there's a lot of foreclosures happening right now. A lot of people. Yeah. So that's something that I turned my attention to last year. As I got more experience under my belt, I was like, listen, I want to really everyone says you're supposed to have a niche in real estate, right? Like you can help everybody, but there should be something you're really good at.
Sure.
And ultimately, when people go into pre-foreclosure, like, I mean, my client didn't even know. He was like, oh, I got something in the mail. I didn't really think anything about it. I was like, that's a serious notification that you got.
Yeah.
Like, it's not something it's not like a collector, right? And so it basically what had happened was he had gotten so many collection notices over the years that he just got used to just throwing everything in the trash.
Sure.
And so, as a more experienced agent now, I would look at that and recognize that a lot faster and then say, oh, this is a behavior I can't change.
Yeah.
They have to change it, right? But I can just help with the house.
Yeah.
But I was trying to help with everything. I even found out that his veteran benefits weren't being paid at full capacity. Like he was labeled 100% disabled.
Oh, yeah.
But he was only getting like 60 or 70% pay disability. So I helped him get his full benefits. And it's definitely way out of the scope of a real estate license for sure.
For sure.
But one thing that one of my brokers and one of my mentors told me in the very beginning was they were like, you have such a big heart for people that's going to be your strength and your weakness. And you're going to have to recognize when it turns into a weakness, and you're going to have to protect your license at that point.
Yeah.
And at first I hated hearing that. I hate hearing that having a big heart can be a negative. But I will say in the real estate industry, you do have to protect your license. You worked really hard to get it. I think a lot of agents forget because it's just something we don't physically hold in our hands.
Yeah.
And you have to remember, like your wife said, you did all that work to get there, and you've got to protect it. And part of protecting that, like you said, is you have to be selective sometimes. Sometimes you have to pick and choose. Okay, like this is what I do in my scope of my license, and then anything extra outside of that, am I putting my license at risk? Now, luckily for me, it worked out, and I actually made a good contact at the VA through the process. But, ultimately, what I should have done is just got the contact and then given it to him and make him do it.
Yeah.
That's what should have happened.
Do it all for.
Right. Yeah. But, luckily things worked out, but you've got to learn from the mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So.
Well, I love that. So what we're going to do real quick, we're going to move into our rapid fire round.
Oh, sure.
And so we'll jump right into it. What's your favorite local lunch spot after a long showing day?
Ooh. Oh, so I have celiac, so my selections are kind of limited. But I do have ones that are like my favorite go-tos, and one that I recently went to just last month it's called Joy Luck. It's in Sandy.
Joy Luck in Sandy.
Joy Luck. It's a Chinese restaurant, absolutely delicious. And anybody listening that has celiac or knows someone in their family that's gluten-free, Chinese food is usually off the table because it just is not made gluten-free unless you get like the yucky steamed chicken that has no flavor and is kind of like a weird texture. And so, but like I love a good, sweet and sour chicken, a good orange chicken like the next person, a good teriyaki chicken. And Joy Luck has so many of those dishes in gluten-free form. And I've never had any issues. It's always been good. And it's affordable. Usually gluten-free alternatives are twice the price of the non-gluten-free alternatives. So
God forbid healthy food
I
be
know.
affordable, right?
But Joy Luck in Sandy, if anybody's listening, definitely try it out. It's amazing.
Check out Joy Luck.
Check it out.
So what's your dream vacation when you finally get to unplug?
Well, I mean, so actually right now I'm saving up with my sister to take my mom on a cruise because she's never been on one. And my grandpa used to live, her dad used to live in Alaska, and he always had a big love for Alaska when he came back. Mm-hmm. And there's pictures all over the house from his travels in Alaska. And so she's always wanted to take an Alaskan cruise. So I would have to say it's going to be a post-divorce. Like that's the other thing I'm saving up for is I'm getting her a divorce from my stepdad.
I see.
Give her a fresh start in life. And so we're going to do a big celebration, just the girls, my aunt, my sister, my mom. Yeah. We're going to go on an Alaskan cruise.
Cruises are awesome for big groups of people. So what are your open house must-haves? Like snack, music, candles? I mean, what
okay, so definitely not candles. I know some people do that, but first of all, anybody listening, make sure you get the seller's permission. because that is technically a liability. So I don't do anything that if all the chips stack against me that day, like if it's, if it's just one of those things that, okay, this happens and then this happens and then later this happens all in the same day.
Yeah.
If all those things stack against me, I don't want to be liable for burning someone's house down. And this is weird. It didn't happen in Utah, but I have a friend back home where my mom lives in South Carolina, and she's an agent, and it didn't happen to her. It happened to someone in her brokerage. The house was kind of musty because they had like a big rainstorm because of hurricane season. And so they had like opened the windows, but it just didn't air out enough. And so it still had that sort of musty smell.
Yeah.
Where there was, I don't know if it was like a leak or if there was just like sort of condensation on the walls kind of thing happening because of the humidity. But she lit a bunch of candles to help it smell good. And I guess she forgot to blow one of the candles out, and the seller was out of town for the weekend. That's why she was able to do the open house.
Oh my goodness.
And she gets a call from the neighbor saying that the house has caught fire.
Oh man.
And so I asked my friend, I was like, so what happened? She goes, oh, the whole house was gone. By the time the fire department got there, it was too late. The whole house burned down. And I was like,
That's
as an agent, that would be my absolute worst nightmare. That's worse than when you're a server and you think you forgot someone's ranch from like 3 days ago that they asked for.
That's definitely the worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario, you burn your client's house down.
Burn your client's house down.
So I would say obviously the biggest thing for open house is having potential buyers, having people come see the house.
Absolutely.
Anyone can have cookies. Anyone can have flowers and a table and a sign-in sheet. And like, a sign-in sheet is somewhat important. You want to try to capture leads, contacts. But ultimately, I'm supposed to be there for the seller. And I'm trying to bring in all the eyes in one go, right?
Absolutely.
And so ultimately, I want to promote that open house. I don't want to just show up and hope that putting out 2 signs is enough to get attention.
Yeah.
So for me, I think door knocking is my approach to pretty much everything in real estate. It starts with door knocking.
Yeah.
So.
Well, cool. What is the most used app on your phone right now?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I would, so I also don't just do residential, I do commercial. Mm-hmm. And so I have a client that's currently looking for multifamily. So the app that I probably use a lot right now is, I call it my NOI app. It's not actually NOI. It's like a commercial, like mortgage, like the way a mortgage app is. It's like a commercial, like loan app.
Okay.
And so I would say that's probably my most used right now because we figure in like what they have it listed as and they say, hey, here's our cap rate. And then we check to see if that's the real cap rate.
Yeah.
So I would say that's probably my most used.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
And what's your favorite way to recharge outside of work?
It's going to sound crazy, but I actually, for me, recharging is doing something for other people. Okay. So that's how I actually recharge my personal battery is the Taylorsville Food Pantry. I haven't been in a couple of months. I've been busy with door knocking and stuff. Some things have kind of taken precedent, but my husband is gone. And I would say for both of us, recharging on the weekend, especially is the time we have to recharge. And the Taylorsville Food Pantry needs volunteers all the time. So, and I know the owners or the people that run it, Cheryl and Phil Knight, and they are incredible people and they give so much back to the community. So I would say doing service like that for them or working on other projects.
Yeah.
For the community is how I recharge.
Absolutely. Well, it's an amazing way to do it. You
Yeah.
know, we do stuff here and there. I wish we could donate more of our time and resources, but everybody's like, yeah, this is great PR and blah. I was like, no, the driving force behind this is we want to help people.
Yeah.
If it ends up on the news or whatever, great. But that's not why we're doing it.
Right. And you can tell when people do it for PR versus when they genuinely want to do something for the community.
Oh, for sure.
So.
Well, I love it. And real quick, Kat, how can people connect with you if they want to buy, sell, or follow your journey?
So couple of ways. So I'm on Facebook, obviously all social media, Instagram. On Instagram, it hasn't let me change my profile name for some reason. I'm not sure why, but I'm still under there as a girl called Kat, and you'll see my real estate headshot, and it'll say eXp Realty. And also, I am on Facebook just under my full name, katsolomon.clark. And I am also on eXp Realty's website. If you just go to their website and click for the local branches in Utah, you search my name, you'll find me there.
Perfect. Well, thanks again, Kat, for joining us today. If you're in real estate and you're a professional who's ready to sit down at the closing table with me, shoot me a message. If you want to work with a mover who treats your clients like family, you know who to call. I'm Landon with Miracle Movers, and we'll see you on the next episode.